So what percentage of companies that reach $1 million in revenue fail before they reach 2 million? 80% of contracting businesses that make it to $1 million do not reach 2 million in sales. Is that a surprising number to you? It's not because they run out of leads. It's because their owner becomes the ceiling. I was that business owner. Although we were at 4 million in revenue when it happened to me, I was that business owner that I held the growth of my business down because I had to be involved with everything. Everything had to run through me. So I know exactly what I'm talking about today, and I experienced it in real time. The thing that got you to 1 million, your work ethic, your standards, your refusal to let anything slide, is the exact thing that will keep you stuck there forever. There are 2 mountains in this business. Most of you will spend your entire career climbing the wrong one. And the worst part, nobody tells you the rules change halfway up. Today I'm going to show you the 5 shifts that separate contractors who stay trapped from contractors who built something they can actually run without them. And the first one's going to sting a little bit. I talk to contractors every single week, guys doing 700,000, 1 million, sometimes 1.5 million. And almost every single one of them says some version of the same thing. I thought it would get easier by now. More revenue, more trucks, more guys on payroll, and somehow more stress, more chaos, and more hours. It kind of looks something like this. You're here in the middle, and your sales team, marketing, production, vendors, I could keep going on and on, but everything is funneling towards you. And so many of them, their business grew, but their life got worse. That is not a failure of strategy. That is a failure of identity. See, when you started the business, you climbed what I call the first mountain, the hustle mountain. Hustle, grind, do everything yourself, be the best technician, the best salesman, the best problem solver in the room. And it worked. You built something real with your own 2 hands. But somewhere around 500,000, maybe 700,000, maybe 1 million, you hit a valley. Growth stalls, or worse, growth keeps going, but everything behind it starts cracking. Your best guy quits, jobs start slipping, you cannot take a week off without 17 missed calls. The valley is not a dip. It is the gap between 2 completely different mountains. The first mountain rewards effort. The second mountain rewards systems, leadership, and leverage. And you cannot climb the second one using the first mountain tools. Here's what is at stake if you ignore this. Your revenue caps out at whatever your personal bandwidth can handle. Your best people leave because there is no room for them to grow. You burn out, and the business you built becomes worth almost nothing if you ever try to sell it. Because buyers do not buy jobs. Buyers want machines. And right now, let's be honest, you're the machine. You're the business. Everything goes through you. So we need to fix that. The first thing that has to change is the hardest one to accept. You need to stop doing all of the work. I know you are the best at it. Your standards are the highest. When you are on the job, things get done right. I'm not arguing with that. But here's the problem. There is only one of you, and every hour you spend on tools or fixing someone else's mistake is an hour you are not spending on the thing that actually grows this business. You cannot be the product anymore. The system is the product. Think about it this way. Right now, your quality lives in your hands and in your head. If you get sick for 2 weeks, what happens? If you want to take your family on a real vacation, what happens? If you want to add a second crew, a third crew, what happens? These are questions you need to ask yourself. Because if the answer is your business starts to fail, then you are the problem. It all falls apart most likely because there is no system. There is just you. The shift is this. You go from being the best operator in the business to being the architect of how the business operates. That means your methods get documented. Your standards get turned into checklists. Your training becomes a process, not a conversation in the van on the way to a job. Although conversations in a truck on the way to appointments are very beneficial, use that truck time to accomplish things. Here's a question I want you to sit with this week. If you disappeared for 30 days, what would break first? Whatever your answer is, that is where your first system needs to be built. Your hands built the business, your systems will allow you to scale it. The second shift is one that most contractors do not even realize they need to make, and it's costing them hours every single day. How many times this week did someone on your team call you for a decision they probably already knew the answer to? This used to happen to me dozens of times a day. Simple things like, should I use the material or that one? Customer is asking for a discount. What do I say? We are short a guy. Do I push the job or reschedule? Every single one of these calls is a symptom. You have become the brain in the business, and a business with one brain does not scale. This is going to be about people. Now here's the part that stings. You created this, not on purpose, but every single time you answered instead of coaching, you trained your team to stop thinking. You made it easier to call you than to figure it out themselves. The fix is not to ignore your phone. The fix is to build what I call a decision rights system. You sit down and you categorize every type of decision that crosses your desk. Some of those decisions, the big ones, the strategy, major spending, hiring, and firing, will stay with you. But the day-to-day stuff, that needs to go. Site decisions go to your team lead. Customer issues under $500 go to your office manager. Scheduling conflicts get handled by your team lead. You are not giving up control. You are designing where control is. It's a massive difference. And here is the move that accelerates everything. Next time someone calls you with a question, instead of answering, ask them, what do you think the right call is? Then coach them through it. Do that for 30 days and watch how fast your phone stops ringing. That one change will give you back more hours than any app or any tool on the market. The third thing nobody tells you about scaling a contracting business is this. Your next phase of growth will not come from hiring more people. It will come from developing better leaders. Right now, you are probably managing everyone directly. You know every guy's schedule, every guy's mood, every guy's problem. And that works when you have 5 or 6 people. But there is a hard ceiling hiding in that model. You can realistically manage 6 to 8 people well. After that, quality drops, culture fractures, and you spend your whole day firefighting instead of building. The shift is from managing individuals to leading leaders. This means identifying your 1 or 2 most coachable, most reliable people and investing in them, not just technically as leaders, giving them real ownership of a crew or a function, holding them accountable to outcomes, not just tasks. Here's a framework that makes this practical. At Burris Home Solutions, we've split into divisions for each individual service. So we have a windows, siding, roofing, and I have a leader managing the production of that in each of those divisions, and they are empowered to make decisions to take care of customers. So here's a framework that makes this practical. I call it 10-80-10. You own the first 10%. You set the vision, the standard, the non-negotiables. Here is what a great job looks like for us. Your team leader owns the middle 80%. For me, it's leaders because of the divisions. Those leaders will run the day-to-day, solve the problems, manage the crews. You do not interfere unless there is something genuinely on fire. And then you come back for the final 10%. You review, you give feedback, you celebrate what went well, you coach what did not. 10-80-10. In this framework, you stay involved without becoming the bottleneck. Your foreman grows into a real leader, and your business gains capacity it has never had before. Stop being the best manager in the building. Start building great managers. Quick, one thing before I get into the last 2 shifts, which honestly might be the most important ones. If you are a contractor trying to build something bigger than yourself and you are getting value out of this, hit subscribe. I make these videos specifically for people like you, owners in the trades who want growth without grinding themselves into the ground. All right, back to it. Okay, here's a question for you. Do you have a written 3-year plan for your business? Not in your head, written down, specific, and your team is aware of that plan. Most contractors I talk to are running their business on a 90-day horizon. Next month's jobs, next week's cash flow, today's problem, and I get it. When you are buried in the day-to-day, survival mode feels like the only mode there is. But here's what it costs you. You cannot lead people toward a destination you have not defined for yourself. Your team cannot grow into a future they do not know exists. And you cannot make strategic decisions when every single day is just a reaction after reaction. I want you to think about your business like a GPS. A GPS does not just show you the next turn. It knows the destination first. And then it calculates every decision based on where you are going. Without a destination entered, it's useless. That is most contracting businesses right now, making turns with no destination. Here's the exercise. Where are you right now? Honest assessment, revenue, team size, your role, your stress level. Where do you want to be in 3 years? Be specific. What revenue? How many crews? What does your actual day look like? Are you on the tools? Are you in the office? Are you on a beach somewhere while the business runs? And then, what are the 3 moves that close this gap? Not 10, not 20, 3. The 3 non-negotiable priorities for this year that move you from where you are today to where you are going. When you have clarity and when you share it with your teams, something changes. People start filtering their own decisions through it. Does this move us closer or further away? Your foreman can answer that. Your office manager can answer that. Everyone rows in the same direction. A business without a destination is just a very expensive treadmill. Let's talk about what might be the most important thing as an owner you need to worry about, and that's your company's culture. The fifth shift is one most founders resist the hardest. It sounds soft, abstract, like something for corporate offices with motivational posters on the wall. But I need you to hear this clearly. Culture is not a vibe. Culture is an operating system, and it is the most powerful competitive advantage you will ever build. Your culture determines what your team does at 4 p.m. on a Friday when they are tired and you are nowhere near the job site. It determines whether the new guy cuts corners or holds the standard. It will determine whether your best people stay for years or leave in months. When culture is undefined, it defaults. It becomes whatever each person decides it is. That is where the inconsistency comes from. That is where customer complaints come from. That is where your reputation starts to crack. When culture is intentional, everything changes. Here's how to start. This week, define 3 to 5 non-negotiable standards for your business. Not corporate buzzwords, no political bullshit, real, specific, observable behaviors. Maybe it's we leave every job site cleaner than we found it. Or we call the customer before we are ever late. We never cut corners even when nobody is watching. Then do the 3 things with them. Hire to them. In every interview, test for alignment with those values. Skills can be trained. Character usually cannot. Lead by them. If you cut corners under pressure, your team will too. If you hold the standard when it is hard, your team will learn what the business actually stands for. And enforce them. Culture is not what you put on a wall. Culture is what you tolerate. The moment you let someone violate a standard and say nothing, that becomes the new standard. Get this right and your business starts to self-correct without you standing over it every day. I can't express enough how important culture is. Don't let one bad apple ruin the bunch. Here's the truth of this whole video in one sentence. Your company will never outgrow you until you outgrow the version of yourself that built it. I'm not trying to criticize. That is the most empowering thing I can tell you because it means the solution is not more money, more leads, more trucks, or more hours. The solution is you becoming the leader your business needs you to be at this stage. Picture this, 12 months from now, you have the systems that run without you checking every detail. You have a team that solves problems before they reach your phone. You have a foreman who leads like you would. You have a clear vision that everyone in your business understands and moves toward. And you have a culture so strong that quality holds whether you are on the job site, on vacation, or just spending the day with your family. This is not a fantasy. That is what happens when you stop climbing the first mountain and start climbing the second one. 5 shifts, systems over heroics by you, coaching over controlling, leaders over employees, vision over reaction, culture over chaos. You built something real. Now build something that lasts. As I mentioned at the beginning, I've been through this and it was a decade-long journey for me to break through. And that's what we're trying to do here at Modern Contractors, help other contractors break through. So I'll see you in the next one.